In this video, I'm going to talk you through my decision-making process pushing a hardcore Greater Rift 124 on my Mundunugu Witch Doctor. Let's get started. So the first thing to think about when going into the Rift is you want to get your stacks up of Soul Harvest immediately, and you want to start getting into as much density as you can because you want to be building up the stacks of the seasonal buff. So as you can see down here in the corner, stacking up 16, 17, 26, 29, as much as you want to get this as high as you can possibly get, and once this procs, you want this to be in as much density as possible with as many elite packs as possible. That's kind of how you gain the momentum, and getting a lot of stacks, carrying it into a lot of density will also carry over those stacks into kills toward your next stack. So that's what I'm kind of doing here. Generally, like during a different season, I wouldn't necessarily stop on all this stuff, but getting up to above 80 stacks, ideally you want to get like above 100. I'm just kind of moving. I get my first elite pack here, carrying this down. Arcane Jailer, never a fun combo, and Frozen. Actually, looks like I have two elite packs here. So yeah, I have about 15 seconds left on the buff, getting up to above 150 stacks. So it's complete RNG which one you get here, which seasonal affix buff you get. The better ones to get are like the Diablo Flame is one of the stronger ones, as well as the Sand Shaper Tornadoes. Those are probably the strongest. I get the little Lava Flame here. It's really not the best, but you want to make sure that you right before it goes out, you want to make sure that's pointed in the right direction so that it actually hits everything. Even though it's not the best one to get, you can see it's still at a pretty good amount of damage here. So got that champ pack down. Moving on, speed pylons. I usually just pop speed pylons immediately. Speed pylons can be, obviously they increase your attack speed. They also increase your movement speed. So if you have a bad map, so let's say you get a wide open map like this one, and when you're fishing, you always want to get a wide open map. So let's say you get a wide open map, and then you go on and you get like a sewer map right after that, but you find a speed pylon. Sometimes I use that speed pylon to just get through the sewer map as quickly as possible, maybe stop for a little bit of density, but speed pylon is probably one of the weaker ones that you have for this. You can see I know that there's a elite above me, so I'm kind of pulling that down, pulling in the density from the right, and just trying to get as much stuff together as possible. So right here I'm popping the seasonal affix. As you can see, I got the Flame Jet one. It's one of the stronger ones. When that happens, you want to ideally line up any density and elites that you have and get that directly in the Flame Jet. It's sometimes a little bit hard to do, and sometimes you have to move around and due to avoiding mechanics and that kind of thing. But in general, you want to be ready to go, and you always want to be facing the density, facing the elites before that goes off, because if you get like the snowball or you get the flame one, it's going to be a lot more damage if you're already kind of pre-pointing your character in that direction. So I finished that up. As you can see, I'm really ahead of the timer right now. So right now what I'm thinking is I need to capitalize on this. I'm really hoping for a good second map, and already at 90 stacks with less than 30 seconds to go, getting a massive amount of density here. And I see that I have one champion pack. You'll see here in a minute, right before this goes off, I make a move to the upper right because I want to see if there's a second champion pack there. Ideally, if you can, you always want to have at least one champion pack, but if you can get two, or like an elite and a champion pack, or whatever you have, you're going to get a lot more value out of the seasonal buffs. So yeah, I make a move up here, I see there's another pack, and now I'm just trying to get the two packs together. A lot of pushing hardcore Greater Rifts is just, can you get density together? Can you line up the density? Because obviously you have a limited amount of time, and most builds do a lot of AoE style damage. So if you can get things grouped up, and that can be very difficult because in a lot of situations, and you'll see here in a little bit, but you'll see actually with this Winged Assassin, a lot of times the mobs will not follow you. So one strategy that I use here is just keep moving in the Rift, because you want to be building up density, you want to be making progress, and ideally you can get those mobs to follow you. Once you get through the majority of the density and you have like an elite or a champion pack and you're just left with the elite or the champions, then you want to keep moving if possible. Sometimes if you have to go down to another another level, you have to make the determination, is this worth finishing off? In this case, the Winged Assassin is below 20%, so obviously I would, but I'm trying my best to pull it into density. It's really not cooperating right now, and certain mobs are much better than others, but I move up north here, try to get some more density. I just saw that I have a channeling pylon up there, and ideally I want to try to use this channeling pylon. What's going through my mind here is I want to kill this density, kill this last Winged Assassin, pop the channeling pylon, and move on to the next map and see if I can get some good value. But as you can see, I'm only at about 65 stacks here on the seasonal buff. I was hoping not to pop this here. As you can see, I have really bad timing here, and I do pop it. And I kind of realized that I just completely scuffed that one and got pretty much no value. And I got really, really lucky with the second map here. So I'm feeling very confident at this point. You can see I'm very ahead on the timer, and I'm just slowly plotting my way through this. This is decent density in this area, so I'm stopping on these small groups. And in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking safety as well. Like if I proc, can I get out of this zone quickly? Because again, playing this on hardcore, I make a move there because I see that the charger's coming in. So I'm looking at my stacks and I'm seeing that I'm about 40 to 45 seconds out here, and I don't have a lot of stacks. So I'm going to try to continue to move through here, build up my stacks, hit a champion pack here with a lot of density. And whenever I do that, I try to use that as kind of like my base. So I want to move back to it. And here I see a shield pylon. Whenever I see a shield pylon, I'm thinking to myself, how far, or how long do I have until I engage Rift Guardian? I really like to have a shield pylon available to me when I'm fighting Rift Guardian. Power pylon is by far the best one that you want to have. And you always want to save a power if it's available to you. So another thing you want to keep in mind, like as soon as you go into a rift, if you encounter a power pylon or a shield pylon at the very beginning of your rift, ideally you want to leave that, not touch it, and leave the first champion or elite that you find, and then continue through the rift. And once you get to like 90-95% where you feel comfortable killing that last pack and coming back, then pour it out, come back, and grab it there. So so again, here the shield pylon, it was too far away from kind of the end of the dungeon, because like I saw that I was only about 60 or 70% when that was available. So I just popped it, tried to get as much value out of it as possible. Remember, you will get value out of a shield pylon, DPS value, because you won't have to move, and especially with this set, you're running the Traveler's Pledge set. So if you stand still, you're gonna be doing 100% extra damage, and you won't have to move around for mechanics as much. So here I kind of get to the elbow in the map here. A lot of good density here. And remember, like the percent density may not be very, very good for these particular mob types. But these are full count when doing the calculation toward your seasonal buff, your season 21 buff. So like there's the explicit value that you gain from the percentage toward completion of the dungeon. But then there's that implicit value of adding to that counter and getting that to the point where you can really maximize that damage and carry it through and carry that momentum through into a really big seasonal buff, as well as carrying that momentum through to gaining stacks for your next buff. So here I'm at about 125 stacks. I'm about to proc. I've got an elite pack right here, or sorry, a champion. Sorry, no, elite. And procs here, I get the lava wave again, which is kind of bumming me out. I do aim it correctly, so it kind of goes through all that stuff. Now what you can do, and I don't do it here, but once you do damage, you can theoretically run back through that lava pool, and if the mobs follow you, you might be able to get some extra value out of that. So something to keep in mind. Right here, I hit the jackpot. So I was at 95%, and I decided to continue running north, and I see a power pylon. So at this point I'm thinking, I've got the power pylon, I've got the way down right here. So playing hardcore, especially with the Witch Doctor, because of his low armor, a lot of Rift Guardians can just completely one-shot you as a Witch Doctor. So one thing that I like to do is anytime I'm pushing, I try to make sure that I'm fighting the Rift Guardian close to either the way to the next level or any type of way up or way down. So it's something to think about. Like as you're getting to 100% completion, you want to be, if you haven't found the way down, you want to either backtrack toward the previous map or make your way forward and try to find the next map, because you can put yourself in a really bad situation and just completely lose your Witch Doctor or your hardcore character in general, if you are not close to an exit. So something that I try to do, and again, when you're pushing, you can fish for whatever you want. So if you're not comfortable, the last thing you want to do is like spawn Perdition or something and just get completely one-shot. So I mistime this slightly. I get the Sand Shaper and I get the seasonal buff. Now I was hoping to down those other mobs faster, but it just wasn't in the cards. I was hoping to get this entire seasonal buff on the Sand Shaper. So right now what's going through my mind is I have plenty of time. I have something like 3.5 or 4 minutes on the board. I've got the Power Pylon, and I end up popping this a little bit too early, the Power Pylon, but in general, you want to let your Stricken stacks build up, assuming that you're running Stricken, which I think most builds do these days. So your Power Pylon is going to give you much bigger value if you have those Stricken stacks pre-built up. Now, the rate at which your Stricken can build up is based on your attack speed. So, and another nice thing here is I'm running, I've recently swapped over to the Belt of Transcendence, which spawns, you can see these little fetishes that I have, 15 fetishes out, and they do practically no damage, but I decided to run this instead of a Killicuris, which gives you 50% damage reduction, because these little guys absorb projectiles, and there are a lot of Rift Guardians that have one-shot projectiles that are very hard to dodge, but these little guys just eat them. So Sandshaper is not one of those Rift Guardians. I just kind of got lucky with this is not a very bad Rift Guardian, but there are other ones that shoot out projectiles, and these guys will just, you'll see all these guys just fall over and die. And as you watch their little corpses, you're like, okay, that could have been me. So so another thing that just happened here is keep in mind when you're fighting the Rift Guardian, unless you have an insanely high amount of cooldown reduction, you're probably not going to have 100% uptime on your Big Bad Voodoo. So track that, and when your Big Bad Voodoo is down, make sure you're playing very, very carefully. Don't hesitate popping your potion if you have to, and you really want to be maintaining yourself at high health. This particular build doesn't have a lot of life regen outside of Big Bad Voodoo. So, again, right here, like I realize I don't have to play it risky at all. If I proc, I've got the way down right there, and I'm doing just fine on time. So all I'm doing is avoiding mechanics and do my best there. So there you go, guys. If you have any questions on just general strategies on pushing, how to push specifically with the Witch Doctor, or have any questions or comments about what I've said, please put that in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. And if you want to see me pushing live, it is twitch.tv/Shackman2006. And I also have a Mundunugu Witch Doctor guide if any of you are interested in that as well. Thanks, and have a good one.